Hello and welcome to episode 30 of our Timberborn Update 6 Waterweavers playthrough here, cycle 34, day 15. Got about 6 days left of our present drought cycle. And yeah, episode 30. Feeling pretty good about where we are so far. And I also would like to draw your attention to the lower right-hand corner of the screen where we now have a mini-map. I mentioned in the comments of one of our colony review videos from this week that I wanted to see if the mini-map was going to work nicely with the Waterbeavers, and it seems like it's going to be passable. I don't know if I'm going to keep this, because it's pretty visually busy, but I do like it. I do think that's pretty cool. So, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to get done today. Last time we did continue expanding our storage over here, and we made some optimizations, improved some things, and I think there's still a lot more to be done in that regard, but there's some other stuff that I think is going to also be worth considering, worth getting accomplished today or in the next couple of episodes, so let's jump right into it. One of the ideas presented in the comments of the last video, and apparently previous videos that I had just missed, was to turn this area right here into a growing area for crops that require water. And conveniently, we have the tree nursery going to be a thing soon, hopefully, and that building allows us to grow something called unbelievably tall bamboo. And this is a very useful crop that gives us wood if we want to cut it down, but if we let it go to fruit, we get these things right here called minty bamboo shoots that are used in a whole bunch of different recipes, and we're going to need a lot of space to grow that. So I figured this would be a decent spot. Do a little bit of terraforming, put some buildings here to hold water in, and that, if we managed to completely wall this off, would be tremendously helpful, and hopefully no bad water could come in here. We'll see what happens. It's a lot of work to get us to that point, but I did want to acknowledge that, mostly so that I tell you guys about it, and also because if I tell you and I forget, then you can remind me that I told you and that I asked you to help me not forget. So, congratulations, now it's your responsibility too. But moving on, we have this area as well. Well, this area or this area, either one, would be a pretty good spot to put a little reservoir for some of our growing ideas and stuff over here. But I had completely forgotten until I was so kindly reminded that we do in fact have water cannons with the Waterbeavers, which are a really cool, unique building that basically functions as a remote water pump kind of deal, but it pumps water into an area. And we have 3 different versions. We have the 30 degree, we have the 45 degree, and we have the 70 degree that have different range of throw depending on where you're at. So I thought it would be kind of cool to see if there was going to be a way for us to put in a water cannon here-ish. We might have to modify this area, but I want to be able to put clean water in here, which I think, if we are careful with how we do this, we may be able to make it happen just based on where this is going to throw stuff. You can see the little flag. Might be kind of hard to see, but you see the flag moving around. That's the target. That is the square on which all of the water will fall when it is put out of this thing. The power, the 200 HP, does not affect range. It affects how much goes at once. It's always going to go to the same spot, always going to go to the flag. Height does make like a little bit of a difference, I think, as in like it won't go through a cliff. Like it has to be able to have a clear path at this ballistic trajectory to get to the flag, but that's far off. We're not there quite yet, but just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that as well, so if I forget, you can still tell me. Now back over here, we talked about putting in different pieces of land here so we could continue having water wheels with power, and yes, I did actually forget that taking this blockage out would still allow me to use a regular levee here instead of putting another piece of dirt, because you can go on either side here in terms of the actual grass or dirt or whatever you want to call it. You can put a levee on either side before you have to put something else in. So removing this is going to allow us to only have to actually put in one piece of terrain, which of course is 1,000 dirt, and we have 850 in storage because that's the only storage that I've actually made. So probably in the next 5 days, it's going to make sense for us to prioritize putting in the actual terrain block. And even if we do have 1,000 dirt, it's still going to take a really long time to get there and get it put in, which is why I did put a pile here for that purpose. So I think let's go ahead before we do this, because the levees are comparatively a lot easier, a lot quicker to build. Let's take out this blockage, prioritize that, and then start the process of putting a terrain block here, because that's going to allow us to do the most with what we've been trying to accomplish. And we have the intersection for the power shaft here that's just going to keep going this way, this way, this way, and then eventually connect up to something else. But when we get up to here, this is going to be a good opportunity for us to take it vertical and then have some other buildings up here, or just have the power shaft go off into the corner somewhere, so on, so forth, etc. But, like I said, lots to do. Let's get this thing in triple speed and continue the work that we have just discussed, and some other stuff. Plenty to get to. I don't know how many times I'm going to end up saying that, but that doesn't make it any less true. So, terrain... Oh, no. Oh, mistakes have been made. Mistakes have been made, folks. The... okay, alright. Now what the heck am I supposed to do? Word to the wise. The natural overhangs do not support dirt on top. Well, in Update 6 they don't. Must be built on the ground. Yep. Okay, so, now we have a conundrum here. We got a problem. So I'm glad we figured this out now, and not during a bad tide or during a temperate cycle. So we're going to have to plug this hole with something, and we're not going to be able to put any more water wheels here unless we remove all of these and have waterproof buildings here. That was dumb. So the Tall and Narrow Lodge is a really inefficient building for population management, but I'm thinking we're gonna have to use it. Okay, so I was not planning on this happening here. I was wanting to put a third factory on top of this, which would still require us to have a walkway to get to here. And you can build, well, in Update 6 Waterbeavers at least, you can build waterproof buildings on top of non-waterproof things. So, how quickly can I build a third factory? I have an anvil. Okay, that's the main thing that was going to cause a problem. I have the tools. I do not have the tar, but the tar is not hard. I have gears. I have scrap metal. Do I have scrap metal? I'm sure I do. I hope I do. Because 25 scrap metal is not going to come in 5 days if I have to make it myself. Clay. Oh, I definitely have clay. We talked about that. Yeah, you know, I can actually probably build this. So, let's turn that frown upside down. What a dumb saying, but it works. And let's just, you know, let's go ahead and build the third factory I wasn't really trying to have at this point in time. But, you know, I made my bed, I have to lie in it, so on and so forth. Man, that is, that's rough, man. That is, demoralizing. So, here's what we're going to have to do. We are going to have to either put other buildings across the way here that will allow us to support stuff, or do I try to put in overhang walkways? They're not going to let me get away with this, are they? Surely there's no way. Okay, yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah, there's going to have to be another building here. Well, we can't, just as a reminder, we cannot place paths on these tiles here because there's this pipe and this thing that comes in and out. So that has to go there. We have to have stairs, which I do have the resources to build stairs there. Probably, you know, considering we can't come over this way, probably this is going to be a good opportunity for us to modify all of this storage, instead of being crappy warehouses, to be regular warehouses that we could stack and then place things on top of. So, here is the situation in which we find ourselves. This path needs to be accessible from here, which means this crappy platform probably needs to be replaced with a ladder, which means that's going to cause some problems here. How fast can I build a ladder? And if I disconnect this, can they still get to some other part here? Okay, so this is connected across here. They can get back in here. Okay, that's not going to cause us any problems except for the paper mill's now no longer going to be accessible until this gets replaced. But this plays into, you know, sealing up the hole here, so it is what it is. Let's do this. Pop in ladder that way. I guess we have the hole here that we can't really do anything with, so no point in messing with that except... Okay. I guess it was too much of an ask to see if that would work, but now that I know it doesn't work, we're going to unpause in a minute. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm just trying to do a little bit of crisis management here. Okay, now to get to the other side of this, there is no way to get across, and I don't have a good path to get around this way, so that's going to be a fun problem to solve. Okay, small pile of crude saw blades does not go with the factory. The factory does not make crude saw blades. The crude saw blades are not for the paper mill either. They are for a rudimentary sawmill. So this does not need to be here. But before I delete this, see, this is what happens. Now, 12 minutes in, we've been paused forever. Now I'm trying to do crisis management. I actually have a storage here for that, and I have a storage here for that. So this one can actually just get emptied. That's fine. Then it gets to go away. This building is for tools, which are made here in the Primitive Ironworks, which is probably why this was here. But this is getting relocated, so that's fine. The glorious storage for the drill bits being here, I guess, is okay because it's getting exported to this district, so we don't need to worry about that. I'm just trying to walk through, you know, in my head, what I need to move and what I absolutely cannot move, because I'm trying to put buildings here. So, coal, empty. Scrap metal, empty. Metal fasteners, not empty, but close enough. Primitive Ironworks, not currently making anything because it does not have scrap metal. Done. Now, again, the whole thing I'm trying to do here is to build a platform upon which I can put a watertight building to fix my sins up here, because that is possible in the game. That getting disconnected will make it so that nothing can get over here, but I'm going to plug that back in whenever possible. So that actually doesn't go underneath. That's fine. This path here is currently necessary to get... Wait a second. Now it is no longer currently necessary. That's fine. So I can take... Yeah, I can just take all this out. What's this? Metal blocks? Okay, well that's fine. It'll get moved around anyway. On the ground you go. That goes away, that goes away, that goes away. They can still have access here to get the blueberries. Now, shut up and build. You got it. Warehouses, industrial piles, so on and so forth. Let's do a little bit of accidental focus on factory economics here. So, bottom factory, currently, turn this off, have making drill bits. Middle factory, currently have making metal blocks. Top one is probably going to be paused as soon as it's actually finished, so we're not going to worry about it. But what goes into making drill bits? Methane, scrap metal, sunflower oil. Scrap metal goes in one of these large industrial piles. What goes into making metal blocks? Coal and scrap metal. Coal also goes in a pile. So I think what's going to make the most sense for where we are right now is to put in some industrial piles, and in fact we can do that right here. Again, we cannot have that go that way. Let's do that here, here. Give us a spot to put scrap metal. Give us a spot to put coal. And then take a look at these other recipes. We'll just check out right here. Other things we might want to make in the future include anvils, which we already have storage for both of the things on the top row. The clay is going to need to have somewhere to be stored. Maybe not permanently over here, but we'll keep that in mind. But basically, the only other thing that's going to be really annoying to have storage for and find somewhere to stick it for factory stuff is where we are right now, probably quartz, so we can make the laboratory glassware, which, spoiler alert, we're going to be having to make a whole bunch more alchemists. We'll talk about that later. So I think we will have to put in quartz, but quartz does not go in the large industrial pile. That goes in one of these warehouses. And the way this is set up is we have to put in a large warehouse, a 3x3, or a medium warehouse, a 2x3, that is also 1 block tall. I think given how this is currently set up and the amount of stuff that we're also going to need to do with quartz, it's worth having a large storage for it. We already have 216 worth over by that medium mine, but we'll just go ahead. There's another one for your counter. And put one here. They're not super expensive to build, and it's something we need to have anyway, and that gives us a space upon which to put a watertight building. It doesn't have to be this tall and narrow lodge. That was just the smallest watertight building I could remember off the top of my head. Now that this is in place, we have other exciting options, including taking these other 2 blockages out and putting in another waterproof building that would not be completely horrendous to try and power, like, for example, another paper mill, which actually, no, that wouldn't work because of how this is set up. So disregard that. But we have we got options. Screw presses have power going on the bottom, so that one would not be a great choice there. Paper mill we already discussed. It has on the 3rd story on the back the insert for power, which would not be impossible for us to get here. We would have to use overhang platforms, but it would be probably not that bad of a choice for something over here, and eventually we're going to need more than one of those, but I'm not going to force us to build this just because it's going to be the easiest thing for us to power, if that makes sense. We also have advanced buildings, none of which are going to go up here, so we don't really need to worry about those. I'm not going to build another factory, so don't worry. But high temperature foundry, giant thing, like none of this stuff is going to matter. What we do have is options to put in, say, something like a bad water pump. If we were really, really, really smart, which I know, really smart with this. This natural overhang here, which currently is these 2, and then this one, and then it's sitting on top of a piece of dirt here. If we got rid of this natural overhang and we didn't put the large warehouse here, we could put a small bad water pump in this slot here, 1 level down, and during bad tides, it would harvest bad water for us, and then we just build something else onto. Now, this is a reach. This is not something that I'm saying we should be doing, but the problem-solving brain often tries to bargain with itself, and that's just what happens to cross my mind at this point in time. So, again, it's an idea. We don't have to be married to it. We don't even have to acknowledge it. It's just something that, happens. We also only have a single mechanics lodge, and we're going to need a lot more gears, so probably one of the safest things we could do would be to just take out one more thing here, and then, okay, that was my fault. Take out one more thing here and just put a mechanics lodge in here and call it a day. You can always replace it later. This is a very, well, comparatively, a mostly cheap building to construct, and it serves a pretty useful purpose. We've already researched all of these, I am 99% sure. So this is literally just a gear maker. And we're not going to be able to make any more gears until we get to... what building makes gears? Oh, it's one of those abyss things, isn't it? I am pretty sure it's an abyss thing that allows you to make gears. Let me... there we go. Underground factory operating team. Yeah, that's late game, and it's a good recipe. It's half an hour for 5 gears, but we're not getting to that anytime soon. It's episode 30. I know it's slow. It's a process. So, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the best option that we have. The question is, Can the beavers actually build this without it being a colossal problem? I think they can. You know, little engine that said, little engine who could, or whatever. I think it's possible. We just have to believe. And all those other smarmy things. But let's get this reconnected here, since we have a dire need for things to make sense. And now we really need to prioritize this. And I was not trying to make this the primary goal for today. But now, you know, when you accidentally become important at work and all of a sudden things are going incredibly terribly and you can't back out, that's what this is. This area has accidentally become important at work, and it's just the way it goes. So, ladder, which actually needs to be built. It doesn't matter. Look at that done. They'll build these. They should be able to build all of this by standing here on this block, so that shouldn't be an issue with any vertical access. We just cannot forget, before this runs out, I have been talking about this for 10 minutes. I'm so sorry, but I'm not editing this. I think they can do it. All right, triple speed. Let's make up for lost time, and let's go talk about something else while they, you know, try to take care of all this. I'm going to pause this mechanized water pump because obviously do not want this water to go away, and we have another 5 days. Now, over here, away from the horrible atrocities we committed up there, we have 3 lovely alchemists that are doing their best to make all sorts of stuff happen for us, and I am very grateful. However, we've made mistakes, and by we, I mean me. Well, first of all, I don't have any of these making basic balm, but I've been alerted that our consumption of basic balm, as it stands now, to be 100% satisfied would have to be 8 per hour. Or 8 per unit of time, or whatever. Did I write this down? Pretty sure I did. Yes, we need to make 8 per hour. Our maximum output right now is only 3, which is this recipe right here. So we need to have, which we currently have 0 making basic balm. We need to have at minimum 3 alchemists entirely dedicated to making basic balm. We don't have laboratory glassware right now. We'll need to make more. But we need to make ourselves an area that is going to just be for making basic balm. What does basic balm go to? Well, let's refresh ourselves here. Go to goods consumption. This is such a great mod. I'm so glad that this exists. 9 buildings using basic balm right now are all the minor burn medical beds. And I know there's others that will use it as well. But for right now, probably one of the smarter things we could do is establish a quote-unquote like hospital zone. Not a separate district, mind you, but just an area where we can have these alchemists making basic balm and just getting stuff taken care of. It doesn't have to be here. It would be probably smart to do it in an area that is not really well suited for growing anything. Look at these guys go. 1 day down and they've already gotten most of this taken care of. How about that? How about the... Oh, I forgot they can get from behind here. Let's demolish this. Obviously, we don't want beavers walking through here. That would be a horrible mistake when the time comes. This is not mission critical to waterproofing, just so we're all on the same page. What a detour to put this in, honestly. But I digress. This needs to be Mechanics Lodge as soon as this is removed, which I guess can get bumped up. We can't forget about that. And then this down here, currently, obviously, you know, it's paused. And drill bits are a thing that exists. I do have 3 of those. This one making metal blocks. Probably should keep making metal blocks. Let's start, unpause this, get these guys going, so we can make laboratory glassware with methane and quartz. Now, methane is also used for other stuff, and we have to start making more. See, I was really hoping I could actually get to all this without something bad happening, but you know how it goes. We just have to, you know, roll with the punches, do the dang thing, etc. We also need to get vertical over here, so we have options. This ladder... I need to slow this down if I'm going to be talking. This ladder here was here because it needed to be here. In reality, it's probably better that this ladder and this ladder actually move here. So I know this might seem kind of, you know, dumb, wasteful, whatever. Oh, I can't put that there. Never mind. Alright, I have been absolved from any responsibility of stupid things happening. Good to know. This can, however, stack here. So, ignore all that I just said about, you know, that being a bad place for that to go. That is where it is. And that is where it will be. Because I can't place anything in front of this little exhaust pipe or whatever that is. Anyway, what I was going to say is that I've got a space up here that is going to be kind of impossible to build anything super useful on because of the placement of the door. And I can't really stack another paper mill on top of here. Oh, I mean, well, I could. Let me just show you what that looks like. Yeah, you know what? You know what? That actually would fit. That's probably the smartest place to do that. Oh, boy. All right. I know, it's like drinking through a fire hose. I had so many ideas, and then my brain was like, haha, remember that time when you did something stupid? No? Okay, well, that's happening right now anyway. That will also not be the correct thing to put there. Vertical. There you go. Cool. So they have to build that, which means they have to have a way to access it, which means they have to have a staircase, I think. Should allow them to build all of this. I'll just put that there for them to do eventually. Okay, well, we don't have to wait for them to build this. I know. It's going to be okay. Just don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. This is currently the most important building to get built. That will be flood prevention and a monument to all my sins, so on and so forth. Anyway, I was looking for a place to put 3 more of... Not that one. 3 more of these guys, alchemists. And the recipe we're using is basic balm, which requires lotus flowers, sunflower oil, water, pine resin, clay, and logs. So ideally, it should be someplace close enough so that none of those ingredients is going to be a huge burden. Currently, the most annoying thing to make that we have on this list is sunflower oil, and it also is the dominant ingredient in terms of supply per recipe. So I think it's going to make the most sense to put the alchemists over by where we're making sunflower oil, which presently is right here. And we have all of this space back here along the back side, which I think would be pretty convenient. Sunflower oil also be stored in here. Let's give them as a side quest some tree cutting to do, and then allow them to put in stuff right along the back side here. I think that would be the easiest, least stressful way to accomplish this. Give them a lumberjack flag there. I know we have a huge amount of vacancies. It's just the way it goes. Just the way it goes. So I probably, you know, this is still making metal blocks, which we do need to make additional ladders. And this is waiting on quartz, which we do not have any more of. Oh, no, we actually do. Don't end a sentence with a preposition, etc. We'll need to still mine some quartz anyway. And this is currently making iron, which we got 95, but we're not really using too much of it. Let's switch over to quartz. Just because this is a pretty slow recipe, we want to make sure we don't get ahead of ourselves. Boy, half an hour into here, and I haven't even done most of what I wanted to do, but that is okay, because we are solving problems. Yes, friends. The forestry hauling upgrade is inaccessible because someone did not put a ladder or a staircase to get there. We have ways to solve this. Also, the log gnawing station does not need to be here because this is prime tree growing space. So let's solve a couple of problems at once. This can go away after it finishes making the screw press axle because, you know, it's at 81%. It would be stupid to give that up. But they will end up being relocated over here. We'll have to make sure we keep an eye on that. That will solve that problem. And then, if this doesn't need to be accessed by a path, we can come back here with either ladders or a combination of staircases. I personally like the idea of having a spiral staircase to get up there. I'm pretty sure this will allow me to get access to this. Oh no, does that have to go in the front? Does that have to go in the front? Am I about to punk myself here? 'Cause I feel like that's gonna cause problems. Let's yikes. What am I to do here? Because I can't build. Oh, this is quickly becoming unfun. How do I solve this problem here? I had them come in the front, and I had them come in. Oh no, they can come in the side. All right. Okay, all that panic for nothing. Oh, come on. This way they can build this, and then I can just have a staircase here, and that will solve that problem. Unless we want to make sure that this is one more thing back. I don't think we want to do that. Well, they haven't actually started building this yet. We'll just do this. Those of you who are currently writhing in pain from watching this, I want you to know I care about you, and it's going to be okay. Moving on. Log gnawing station, once again, waiting for them to get to 100%. But once that's finished, we're going to plant some more pine trees, because we need to make sure we're producing tons of pine resin. And right now we have 109, which, you know, nice to have that, but we're going to start using this stuff a whole lot quicker. And we're currently on course to deplete within 10 days. I know it keeps growing, but that is, you know, a process that does take time to replenish. And it's only every 7 days you can harvest these trees. You get 2 each. So, planting additional pine trees here is going to be a smart way to utilize space. I also do want to get these natural overhangs out of here. That is not a super high priority task at the moment, but one that we can get to and should get to sooner rather than later. This is just about done. 98% is 99. Surprise. You're staying at work until you're finished, and then everyone gets to go home. There we go. All right, so this one is finished. Gone. Finito. Get some more pine trees here. And make sure that's unmarked for cutting, and it is. We have some cabbage that probably should go away, but for right now this is fine. Alright. All of this in service of making sure this is actually, you know, usable. Okay, let's get that path out of there. They're just about finished with the spiral staircase bit, so we can go ahead and put wooden stairs there. That will make this accessible. Forestry hauling upgrade I'm going to deprioritize. But it will be here if and when we have extra beavers. Alright, we've got 2 days. Did they finish this? They did. It is not accessible, which does mean we need to be careful. And this needs to be accessible before water's coming through here. Or else we're dirty cheaters. I don't know about you, but I took a shower today, so I'm not dirty. But I also don't want to be a cheater. So this getting taken out here doesn't mean I have to build another paper mill yet. It just means I'm able to have a paper mill here without any further nonsense. Now the task at hand is to get access to this mechanics lodge. Now remember, because of the way that this is built, you have this platform here that you cannot pass through. So we cannot put 2 more of these ladders up on top here. The ladders are going to have, or other ways of ascending, have to be somewhere else. We already tried this. That does not work. But you know what we say. There's no rule that says the dog can't play basketball. There's no rule that says the beavers can't play water polo. There's no rule that says I can't put a spiral staircase here to help solve that mobility issue. And that will get us up to the top here. Pay no attention to this mysterious pipe that will now be at face level when these guys come off the ladder. That is none of my concern. And this will allow them to get up there, so that solves that problem. But what it does not solve is access to the front of this guy. But I can build this. You see how cheesy this is? You see how absolutely stupid this is? But it works. And that is all that matters. Boy, what a fun time this has been. So much fun. All right, how are we doing on quartz here? Okay, we're looking all right. I do, in fact, have a single laboratory glassware ready to go. So let's come over here. We have these trees being cut down. Let's build ourselves a glorious storage for, you guessed it, laboratory glassware. So, what goes over here? We already talked about putting in... I always go to the wrong part here. Alchemists. They need to have access somewhere. So I think based on this being here, this is going to be a good place to have storage. We will put in, starting here, an alchemist, another alchemist, and then another alchemist, and then, of course, we have other stuff to figure out where that's going to go. When the time comes, blast this out, and then start the process, eventually, of putting in some storage here. And there's also power, which, you know, we shouldn't ignore. There's other opportunities. We have now rendered these guys redundant. Scavenger flags, goodbye. We'll see you never. Now it is time for this all to be removed. Which, nice to have that. Get that out, get that out, get that out. And then that's going to prep this space for eventually putting in a basic nuclear reactor whenever we get around to building an ENS and making the PhD in nuclear physics. Which, yes, the ENS somehow at episode 30 has still not been researched, has still not been constructed. And we're not going to bother trying to build it until we have an incredibly compact library set, which, remember, everything's connected. It's all going to make sense in due time. Brings us back to the library. And we have a bunch of thirsty beavers here, which I did not think was possible in this district. Because we have lotus flower tea, unless they don't want to drink lotus flower tea because they've already had too much of it. Let's examine a thirsty beaver. Okay, they've already done that, but it hasn't satisfied the thirst. Okay, so well, it's only 0.2 days left. I will turn this water pump back on. That'll help you know, stem the bleeding a little bit. So many things have happened. So many mistakes have been made. It's fine. It's going to be okay. We'll get through it together. Whether you like it or not. Planks, waiting on that for the alchemist. Laboratory glassware, go ahead and set this to basic bomb. Not that they can use it yet. But, while we're over here, this gravity battery should be light gravity battery should be replaced with a regular one, but I don't want to use all of my metal for this over here. We're just keeping things in mind as we continue working on what we were trying to do. Platforms here. Gonna make this hopefully an easier process. Get this blasted out. Get this blasted out. Just so we can reclaim a little bit more space. But now we have water coming in, which is, again, going to help solve many, many, many problems. That pile is empty and can be removed. Okay, and now this gets lowered down, and our water problem should be over relatively quickly. I hope so, because now the beavers are starting to get pretty thirsty, and it is a problem. But now we only have 54 vacancies. And 13 of those are burns. So I told you this was important. It's a very, very, very important thing for us to take care of whenever we can. So putting... Okay, this is extremely annoying, but that's going to go away. I think this is fine. My brain is trying to process a lot of information at once, and it's not going well. Alright, storage has to go here. I was trying to see if I should keep this intersection accessible, but I don't think it's going to matter. Okay. Most important thing. Sunflower oil. Which also means we could put another one of these screw presses over here. This, you know... It does generate enough power to run this thing by itself. I can't really put another one in. Or can I? What did I do here? I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. I think I've confused myself, so let's back up. We need a warehouse for lotus flowers. And if we are going to weaponize lotus flowers as a force for good, then... Well, that... irony right there. Just have to put one of those there. Other stuff we need, water, obviously. That's going to be not a huge problem to solve. And then the pine resin, and then we have clay. Pine resin also is a thing that goes in warehouses. And we'll build another one of those here. It's probably fine just to put a regular medium warehouse here. But it's going to need to have a place to rest on, so that'll go there. And then clay, of course, will also go in one of these. And I thought it would be smart to go ahead and just stack those things, make it as simple as possible, and then all we have to do is have a staircase to get into that. So that should not be an issue. Hopefully. We'll see. I see, my instinct is just to spam ladders everywhere, but I know that's not going to go well. That is not the correct way for us to be playing, with the Waterbeaver faction at least. Before things get completely out of hand, let's just do a quick checkup on... I completely forgot that this was a thing here. That is a good thing I remembered. We were in the process of, you know, cleaning this area up, making it more accessible, fixing the transit across here. Oh, so many things to keep up with. So many things to keep up with. But we'll get there. It's going to be okay. Everything usually is. Now, the coal drill should be drilling. And we need to do something with all of this dirt. And now that I can't do this anymore, boy, that makes me unhappy. But it's not really that big of a deal. We're going to have something to do with all this dirt, and that is something we can do terraforming with. And remember, there are areas we were trying to do all this. So much going on all at once. It's like drinking through a fire hose. There's various places where it would be advantageous for us to fill in stuff. And my first instinct would be to put a couple in here, but then I remembered, you know, this is kind of far away from storage, and it's also underwater, which means it's going to be annoying for them to get to. So let's abandon that idea for the time being and see if there's anywhere else that could benefit from having more terrain placed into it. And I truthfully don't really think that there's many places that would be super important right now. So, remember, we're blasting this out too. Probably what's going to make the most sense is for us to put in a bunch of dirt storage up here, since we do have access to putting additional stuff in. I'll just build 2 for now, because we have to have dirt, right? And then just give that like so. Got to keep things moving. So on and so forth. Water slowly recovering. It will take time. It is taking time. That is okay. This is still going fine here. See, I have so many ideas and I can't do all of them at the same time, and it is mildly upsetting, but that's the way she goes. This is done. Lumberjack is finished. Alchemist. Go ahead and preset these here. Obviously, we don't have 2 laboratory glasswares. We have a single laboratory glassware, and they're probably well into the process of making the 3rd. Except now this is kind of hard to click through here. Alright, still needs quartz. Alright. Well, we have quartz, we just don't have a lot of quartz. I wonder why. It's because we have 37 vacancies. We're trying to fix it. We're trying. It's not super successful, but we are trying. Now we can come over here and take that across. The reason I'm not using bridges is because I do have to access the inside of this thing, and that is, that's just the way it goes. This, I blasted out this way so I could connect this, and then I'm not going to worry about that because they can just go up the stairs here. This is not a mission critical thing. But this does store quartz, which we're mining here in case you forgot. Baby steps. Little baby steps. This guy is, in theory, making basic balm if we could actually supply all the, resources. I'm going to say that a ladder here is going to be a smart choice. Let's make sure we're not blocking any doorways. So we'll just do that. Get that popped in there. So as a reminder, we now have storage for lotus flowers, we have storage for pine resin, we have storage for clay. We don't have storage for logs, but that's okay because logs are not something that's consumed a ton here. Every 10 iterations of the recipe, you will consume a single log. I'm not worried about that. We have to have storage accessible for sunflower oil, which currently is here. We have to have storage for water, which currently is here. So I've got space to put 2 more tanks right here as we continue building stuff. I have to be careful with how many scaffoldings I'm using because those are kind of a pain in the what to build, and I have been using those, so that is going to be what it is. Let's open that up. We did talk about having to have more screw press axles. I know we're up to 40 vacancies, but remember 25 of those are incapacitated for some reason, and we're currently working on solving the burn problem. We'll get there. It's going to be okay. Now, oh good, this works. One of the things you guys posted in the comments last time, and I wanted to address this earlier, I forgot. I deleted the storage. Yes, I know. I deleted the storage for the pine resin next to where we're gathering the pine resin. Now, this harvester's cottage is currently gathering chestnuts. This cannot gather the pine resin because remember I was going to put the tapper shack here, but I figured the harvester's cottage was better. So since we have a harvester's cottage, we do not need to have the gatherer's flag. That goes away, and now our tapper can come over here and yes, can have a little crappy warehouse in which to place his pine resin set to supply. That will solve that problem. And this mini crappy warehouse for pollution resistance factor now can instead go to house something in the library. I tried to talk about this earlier and I forgot. The efficiency in the library has been quite poor. 0% productivity. Also because there's no kimchi, but that's a different story entirely. We just have to have more fermentation barrels. We will get there. But we want to make sure we have storage for everything the library is currently using, which is berries, brain-boosting salts, green peas, kimchi, water. We have berry storage. We don't have a lot of berries in there, but we do have storage. We do not have storage for brain-boosting salts. That's what's going to go in here. That solves that problem. Green pea storage we have over here. It's also an ingredient for the cooking house. That's fine. Kimchi I don't have storage for, and that just goes right in the library. That's okay. This is a very slow thing to make. Water, not a problem. So that should help, assuming we can actually make kimchi. That should help tremendously there. This needs to be set back to normal mode. Still only have 200 something water. It's day 5, but see, I don't want to have these pumps going because I have to staff them, and that is a problem. So what you're seeing here is part of the smart power mod that I installed for one of the colony reviews, and I just kind of left it there. We're going to use this. I don't know much about it, but we're going to use it. I'm going to attempt to figure it out. Right now I'm not going to mess with anything just because I don't want to make mistakes during a playthrough where I can't go back and fix anything, retroactively at least. But just know that that's why that's here. It's going to be okay. Just have to, not get too stressed out about things. The burn issue, it's gonna solve so much stuff if we can get that figured out. And these guys right here are not going to have to be prioritized by haulers because all of their ingredients, with the exception of this, which is currently not connected, are right there. The reason I stopped, I was going to have this connected all the way across with these platforms, but I realized I only have 12 scaffolding. And I don't really have enough wood to just go and build crappy platforms either, so this, for right now, is probably... I know this might seem kind of stupid, but it's going to be a scenario where I'm going to use a suspension bridge as a temporary stopgap, because that's going to be much cheaper to build. It doesn't mean it's staying this way. I just want to have connectivity here. I need to have connectivity here. That is just the smartest thing for us to do. See, these guys, they keep getting injured. And the regular injuries take the half fermented sake, which we do have and is, well, okay. sometimes being distributed. Let's take a second and pause because I was just reminded of something someone else left in a comment that I really should have considered, and that is hauler overload. And what I mean by that is we need to check the efficiency of workplaces and determine who actually does and does not need haulers. So forgive me if this process is a little bit frustrating to watch, but we have to do it. We need to make sure that, first of all, buildings that are prioritized actually need to be prioritized. Productivity 65%. What is the screw press doing? The screw press is taking sunflower seeds and converting them to sunflower oil. Okay, where is the sunflower seeds stored? There is no storage anywhere remotely near here for sunflower seeds. So that is probably what the hauler is doing. Instead of having the haulers mess with this building, what we should do is we should have sunflower seeds close by. We should have a storage close by for them to put stuff into. This building does not say it can function without a worker. So we know it's going to be really, really, really inefficient if this guy's out here running around. Currently, I don't really have anywhere to put anything for ingredients unless we take away a couple of these, which, how did I get here? Okay. That's going to be the best thing for us to do. Okay, this is literally the same except it, storage capacity, except it uses a platform scaffolding. I'm not going to do that. So, I know we previously had these here. I know it's going to be okay. Just bear with me here. I'm going to put it back just so I can deprioritize this guy. Sunflower seeds here. Okay, so what this needs to be is this needs to be a supply. This needs to be an obtain, and this can be deprioritized. Alright, that's one building down. Yes, the game is going to remain paused while we do this. Rudimentary sawmills. These have 3 workers. They cannot function without them. And they require crude saw blades, which we have storage for right here. Logs, and they spit out planks. All of those things are right here. They don't need to be prioritized by haulers. This one over here has the same kind of deal going on. It's got storage right outside. Don't need to have those. Primitive smelters. We have 4. These can function without workers. So this is a scenario in which it makes sense to have this prioritized by haulers. Because we have so many haulers, it's better to use those guys, well, so many being a relative term. It's better to use those than to have a dedicated beaver only for the primitive smelter, especially since we have so many vacancies. That's the word. So I'm not worried about these. That's fine. Next things that are prioritized, mushroom growers. Another building that can function without workers and is treated as such. So that's fine. The mine probably should not be prioritized by haulers, just automatically. It can have 10 beavers working there. They can handle stuff, and then I also have a space to put quartz here. That's fine. And there's tool storage here. That's fine. Mechanized kitchen house can function without workers. This, I'm going to say, makes sense to have haulers assigned to it just because there's 5 ingredients to the recipe and there's 2 beavers who work here. But, you might say, you just said it can function without workers. Yes. But that doesn't mean it needs to function without workers, and it makes food, which is really, really important. So that's fine. In fact, I'm going to prioritize this 3rd one that we built as well. Next thing that is prioritized, log gnawing station. No, that was dumb. The library, if things are all, set up correctly, does not need to be prioritized by haulers. That's what these guys can do. Irrigation lodge. Should call these an irritation lodge. The reason I prioritize these by haulers is because they are very slow. The workers in them are very slow. I did not realize I had 8 of these. That's probably where most of our water is going. This can function without a worker. So I think, while they have to have a worker to start the process, they don't have to have a worker continuously. I'm going to deprioritize all of these as far as haulers are concerned. And we're going to try it out. If there's problems, I'll turn it back on. Handicrafter's Lodge. This one's currently paused, so it doesn't matter. There's only a single worker here, and I don't feel like reconfiguring this whole mess right now, so I'm just going to prioritize both of these. It's just going to make it better. Gather flag. No, stop it. The forester, that's not the same button. The florists, ideally we have storage. We have sawdust storage, and there's water kind of close by. I'm going to deprioritize these and see if anything bad happens. Now, the fermentation barrels cannot function without workers. They just have to have somebody to start the thing, and then it goes for 2 days. So I really don't want to have this workplace priority thing any higher than minimum. And for that reason, I do think it's necessary for these to be prioritized by haulers. I just think that makes the most sense. Feel free to disagree. Make your statements in the comments below, and I will consider them. But I'm going to make sure those are ready to go. Farmhouses, no, forget it. They're fine. They got enough that they don't have to worry about. Factories, really, with 8 workers, probably don't need to be prioritized by haulers. I just don't think we need to do that. Distilleries, 2 beavers, cannot function without them, but it's so simple. Honestly, I think if we're smart about how we have this set up, we're not going to need to worry about it. This one here is using brain-stimulating mushrooms, which are being produced right here and have a storage right there, and logs, which we should have storage for logs somewhere, and water, which is somewhere over here to make pollution resistance factor. There's two beavers. I'm going to deprioritize these. If it's a problem, we can turn it back on. Thank you for bearing with me. I know this is frustrating. Cooking tents. These can function without workers, therefore they will remain prioritized by haulers. Cooking house. This third one here in this other district. How many do I have working in this hauling upgrade? Okay. I think this district is small enough where we can get away with that. Okay, that's fine. Architect's lodges, absolutely not. Forget it. I think I have these. I mean, I've got stuff nearby. No. Okay. Well, maybe those should be prioritized. Okay, that's paused. That's why. Okay, I'll turn those back on. And then we have the alchemists. A single beaver working. Why'd you go from the bottom to the top? I don't really know, but that's just the way we did it. Well, if all the storage is right here, for these 3, actually for all of them, it shouldn't really be that big of a deal. I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem. So I'm going to deprioritize all of these. So, we're not done. I know, bear with me. We're not done, because we still have to look at storages, but we managed to deprioritize a decent number that should help speed things up. The storages. Now this is where this is going to get kind of... I don't want to sit here and do all these. But there are some storages that probably should absolutely be prioritized, and I would say those would be the storages used in conjunction with a building that is not prioritized. Because this guy right here is now responsible for supplying all of this and taking his own stuff out. That means whatever storage this building interacts with needs to be prioritized. These aren't built yet. It's fine. It is what it is. I'm going to leave storage prioritization up to something else because we're now an hour into this video on the dot as I am saying this, and nothing's happened for the past like 15 minutes. So we're working on it. We're making it happen. It should be okay. This suspension bridge is just about finished, and now these guys have access to all of these things. Yes, I do want to build additional tanks, but I need more scaffolding before I feel safe really building anything else like that. We have these guys here ready to go. Now, what we can do is we can take our medical bed for minor burns, and we can build some stuff over here. But remember, we have to have something to put the basic balm in. And that, friends, is where this tank for basic balm will come into play. Right next to everything. And then I can take this little tiny one here and do something else with it. What that is, I couldn't tell you. Let's just change it to half fermented sake for the memes. Okay. Now that goes here. That goes there. This laboratory glassware does not need to be here. We already have a glorious storage for it somewhere else, and that also means this does not need to be making any additional laboratory glassware, nor can it really. So that goes... Nope, you better not. What do I need more of? Medium cauldrons probably would be a safe bet. Let's do that. We need to make more scrap metal, I'm aware. One step at a time, folks. One step at a time. So hopefully this can, actually function once all this is good to go. I need to build a burn unit. So that will go there. I love that in this version of the Waterbeavers, that did not need to go there, that this suspension bridge attaches like that. That is tremendous. So I will need to have... That doesn't go there either. I will need to have a pretty prodigious quantity of burn beds. Alright, so this will give us 12 burn beds. We have 11 burn victims, and we already have 6 of these over here. I think that's going to be just fine. These will probably have to be prioritized when they are built, whenever that time is. It is not right now. Because now we have to get back to the first of like 8,000 other things I said I was going to do today and have not gotten to yet. I wanted to put water in here. That thing just flew across the screen. That requires having a water cannon. But that involves science that I am not currently wanting to spend and time I'm not currently wanting to spend. So this as it is okay. We're not going to build the floodgate dam here. This is a big waste of resources and frankly not necessary. The only other thing we could do with this would be to put another irrigation lodge. I don't think we need any more of those. I'm curious though. These are just so unbalanced. Because I was making quartz. I know we're going to need more of it later, but I think for now the right thing to do is to have this set on coal. I know we have these mines that are currently paused. That's because we have 42 vacancies. Remember, we're trying to solve the burn problem, which, if these are actually able to make basic bomb at the speed and quantities necessary, then we're going to be looking a whole lot better. We're not making enough water. We are not making enough water. See, this stuff just causes a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Okay, I do have beavers working in the hauling upgrades. I've got 10 there. I've got... Oh, that's not deprioritized. So I got 10 there. I have others as well. I think... I hate to take them out of other stuff, but we gotta have pumping going, man. I gotta get these guys pumping. At least 2 of these, just jobs without additional beavers. Because it's day 8 and I only have 150 something science. Let's also consider where the water is going. Oh boy. We have 33, count them, 33 buildings currently consuming water. Now, some of them are not constantly consuming water. Some of them are. Some of them just have large storages, like we have these cooking houses, the mechanized ones, can store up to 350. That's fine. What we want to try and avoid are buildings that are constantly consuming mass quantities, which I'm honestly not sure any exists. Yeah, we have like 4,000 or 5,000 water tied up in production buildings. We're not out. We're just not out. Hey, look, the burn thing now says 10 instead of 11 after all that. Well, at the very least, we've discussed everything I had in my notes. We haven't fixed everything. We've discussed it. We do still have a little bit of time. Probably going to play out the rest of this temperate cycle at the very least. I am just slightly afraid of the problems that I've kind of created here. We have 2,400 science. I really want to make this tree nursery. I really want to make the tree nursery. I just... I don't have a good place to put it yet, and I'm afraid that that's going to be a problem. You know what we do have? We've got 61 explosives. And I was in the middle of trying to take care of this. I also... I was afraid of all the poison over here affecting all that. We'll get to that at some point. Just for right now... honestly, some of this needs to go down 2 things, but... Oh, okay, that's right. You don't need to extract in Waterbeavers to do this. I'm gonna do it. Let's do it. I'm gonna do all of these as doubles. That's probably going to use all of the stuff we have, but that means that this is going to come down. I'm not dumb enough to blast this one all the way down. I'm just going to put that out there, because I'd like to have the ability to get rid of some of these farmhouses here, because this guy can actually reach quite a lot, and these grow at different rates to the point where it's probably going to be fine. I just have to move other stuff elsewhere. Scroll displays. Scroll displays, scroll displays, scroll display. These gotta move. They gotta move. But the problem is the icons are all virtually identical, and it's going to be very difficult for us to remember what we've done where. So let's take it one step at a time. Beaver washing machine fancy blueprint. Floodgate dam fancy blueprint. Let's build 2 more here. Floodgate dam fancy blueprint. Beaver washing machine fancy blueprint. There we go. Empty. Yeah. So that, once these are constructed, will solve that problem. There are still many problems to solve. Don't worry, I'm aware. But we're taking one step at a time. Now, I also do recognize this Handicrafter's Lodge is currently connected to this upper level here. It will move at some point. Step 1 to solving that problem would be to transfer all of that to the bottom one, and then just, you know, get rid of this when the time comes. What else do we have here? Planks here. We don't need planks here. Those can go anywhere else. Pencil sets. I have storage for nothing but this. That's a problem. That needs to be relocated somewhere else. This strong alcohol is being produced here. The distillery can be moved somewhere else if we get everything else taken care of. Look, the minor burns are down to 7. We're getting there. We're getting there. You know, pay no attention to the fact that we got 46 vacancies. We have 260 beavers. That is not enough water for that. But we're getting there. Baby steps. No, the basic balm isn't keeping up. Well, it's being used, which is what it's supposed to be doing. But it also still isn't getting all of the resources. Seems like water is probably one of the bigger ones. This tank needs to be set to obtain because they're walking too far to go get water from somewhere else. That's a problem that is somewhat easily solved. Slowly working on getting stuff done here. Slowly working on it. How are we looking here? Okay, still too much dirt. We're not doing enough with the dirt. This is not... Oh, that's full. Okay. I don't want to use any more of my scaffoldings here. Alright, that's empty. That's empty. Artist Lodge, I've been told probably would be smarter for me to have this guy running instead of the Copyist Lodge. So that is what I will do, because this guy fancifies existing blueprints. The only ones we have that have not been fancified are some of these mechanical drill ones, which honestly we don't need to have a ton of them. But we might as well fancify all that we do have, so we simplify inventory a little bit. Like, there's no scenario in which I'm going to need 39 mechanical drills. Okay, maybe there's one, if you're insane, but I'm insane in other ways. So I'm going to have them work on this. It consumes 0 resources to fancify these. It just simplifies stuff to have it all done like that. So I'm going to do that. Continue the work with the double dynamite here. And then since we are in the process of, you know, cleaning this stuff up, and this is completely emptied out, that can go away. And then we can start the process of unplanting all of this. I'll just go across this way here. They can take that out. And this can all be single. Obviously, we still have to have more explosives, which is a process. You already know it takes time. Let me just leave that one alone. But they're just about finished with this. And then we'll do these other 2 here. And then we can have this guy making the comic books after he gets relocated. When we get to that point. Water is still looking pretty bad. We're going to have to actually address that. So, as of now, I'm going to hit pause on this again because the water situation is actually deplorable. And we got to do something about it. And I really didn't want to open up housing here. But I kind of forgot. We have these factories going. And we really don't need all of these going at the same time. I'm going to pause 2 factories. That will give us 8 homeless beavers and take our vacancies down to 20. We're actually looking pretty good. I shouldn't be panicking about this, but you know how it goes. You don't always get to pick what happens. So that should more or less even us out. And now we have 3 more beavers pumping, which should help that go up ever so slightly. I will turn on the regular deep pumps. And now we have a bed vacancy of 10. Words. Why are these not planted? Is this, no, it is staffed. Okay. We're getting there. We are getting there. We're trying at the very least. Gravity batteries. Gravity batteries, gravity batteries. Oh, you know what? I don't need to pause the game to do this, but it would be smart for us to have additional gravity batteries here. That is a good reason to use metal, because this helps power stuff, obviously, during droughts. And I believe I can have the overhang walkways substitute for this. I needed to unlock those anyway. Let's just try this really quick. Oh, yeah. What's a point load? Never heard of her. That's way too much weight to be cantilevered out on this. But you already know. I digress, etc. This will require 14 metal blocks. These are cheap to build. All I have to do is be able to get up to the top, which we can do without spending any metal, as long as we are willing to have kind of ugly looking staircases. So that will do that. That'll get us up to the top here, and then I can have that gravity battery taken care of. And I can also build one of these corner overhang walkways if I can figure out how this... There we go. And I can put a 3rd gravity battery in. I'm not currently planning on doing that. I just wanted to make sure that this was, you know, something that was going to work. And this will double our capacity. This one has a storage of, click, please and thank you, 60,000 HPH. And that should be about the same over here. I'm pretty sure. Yep, okay, cool. Water is skyrocketing. Things are looking pretty okay. Get that taken care of. Now, this blasting might cause problems if I do it incorrectly, but all I have to do is disconnect this. There is no compelling reason to get up top here. So, away we go. Now this is all the correct height here. You will notice this is poison. You will also notice this irrigation lodge is set to the pollution repelling thing, which means this, basically all of this, will be in that radius once the rest of the terrain is removed. We just have to have explosives. And we also need more storage for gears. I don't know, wild goose chase. What is consuming gears? I scrolled right past it. Nothing. Nothing is consuming gears. Okay, well, let's save ourselves some grief and pause this mechanics lodge. I cannot pause this one because now it's a dam, but it's paused. Well, this one's paused. This is making us scaffoldings, which, you know, we do need to have. I think we're doing okay. Hopefully. Library still at 0% productivity because of the kimchi. We need to make more kimchi, and that's one of those. It's one of those things that I think would really be a good idea for us to get rid of this. But you know how it goes. You can't get rid of this unless you can be on top of it, and you can't be on top of it unless you build ladders to get there. Or, remember, the spiral staircase. Our dear, dear friend, the spiral staircase. If we're just willing to, you know, do a little bit of tomfoolery here, I believe we're going to be able to ascend all the way up to where we want to go. I actually could have moved this over one spot, but you know what? It's fine. So now I can get up here. We can mark these for deletion. And then we can take these out, and then we can blast it all the way down, and then we can get some more space to have convenient storage around the library. I know there's a number of you who are really, really wanting to see that. So, baby steps. Baby steps. Let's turn on some more of these pumps, or the upgrades rather, without opening additional beds. Making nice progress. Very nice progress. Burns are down to 6. That's a huge help. Incapacitated beaver count now at 15. It was twice that not too long ago. Good stuff occurring. Like I said, just takes time. Now, this is inaccessible, and that is where explosives are, so I will just remove that. That should solve a lot of problems. Large farmhouse fancy blueprints need to go somewhere else. Handicrafter's Lodge needs to go somewhere else. I'm making nitroglycerin in one of these things here, so I guess this is probably an okay place for it to be. Okay, let's try something maybe a little bit dumb here. Small warehouse. What can go in the small warehouse? I'll tell you what I should do. I should get a long, tiny warehouse. And my dynamite storage instead can go here. Why is it going to go here, you might ask? Well, okay, maybe I put that on the wrong side. Oh, it's not that far. I'm going to, if I can remember where the building is, put the Handicrafter's Lodge on top of this, which will connect that way, and then that will help solve a lot of those problems, because remember, we've got to make dynamite, nitroglycerin, paper, and sawdust. Nitroglycerin, of course, being made right here. Paper being made somewhere else, but we should put in a paper storage somewhere over here. This burn thing can go away, and I will just... What's under here? Oh, it's just a platform? Say no more. Because you know what we have? We've got a pit warehouse. That's right. That's right. Now it's a pit for paper. It's in the Badwater, and that shouldn't, you know, be compatible with storing paper in there, but the game doesn't care, so neither do I. That's where that's going to go. And then it also, to make that stuff, let's just check this again, requires sawdust. And what do I have up here? I've got spaces that I can put stuff. I know. Earth-shattering revelation. Guess what? I forgot which one was sawdust. There we go. There's your sawdust storage. That's saltpeter, not sawdust. I think we're actually out of that. Okay. Boy, we did a whole lot of stuff. But that's going to mean, once this is constructed, that this Handicrafter's Lodge can go away, and then this scroll display for large farmhouse fancy blueprints also needs to move, and move it shall. That's not the right building. Large farmhouse fancy blueprints, one of these, maybe, there it is. That will just have to go away, and then I just have to blast this out. We're still waiting on a little bit. It's day 13. I've got 3,600 water. I need to have more stored. But we've almost filled all the storage. Oh, that's right. I was going to put in... Oh, no. I was going to put in the giant buried tank or a giant pit tank or whatever you want to call it. Well, I don't have the ability to do that right now anyway. It'll take too much time. I don't have enough tar to build any more tanks either, so that's... yeah, it's going to be a problem. Okay, so we didn't get the warning for the drought or the bad tide. That's good. We want to have a lot of stuff stored up here. Alright. Now this just needs to have pine resin and logs. Pine resin amounts are still kind of low, which is why I planted all of this. I do need to get them up on top of here to remove all this, flatten that out. That is a thing that will happen in due time. I should put a thing there. Yeah, okay. Just make sure that they can, you know, actually get to all this before we get too crazy. Yeah, I really need a pit tank. That is probably what I should have done first. Oh, we were going to commit science, and I forgot. Let's try this in a spot that is not going to cause issues. Okay, why not? They can't reach this anyway. People asked if it is possible to put a tank, one of these buried tanks, or one of these other top entrance buried tanks, into a hole or an alcove that is not made of dirt. So if, for example, we used, say, triple watertight lodges in here to do something like this, that would then have to have, just because I know this is the thing that will fit. Obviously, you'd never build this, but I want to see. No way. No way. Okay. Well, I know. Okay, that works. I would never have thought to do this because Update 5 version would never have let you do this. This is very convenient. I'm not going to build this for obvious reasons, but now that we know this is possible, this opens up other possibilities because we don't have to use entirely ground or entirely buildings to do that. If we find a spot where on most or two of the three sides we have ground or we have a building, then we can just complete it. Of course, that is not going to be a quick process, but now that we know that's a thing, we can exploit it. I just don't know where that's going to be. Obviously, this is going to be farmland. I want this to be farmland. It should be farmland. But we'll keep that in mind. Actually, I want to try something else. Because now I remember I was asked similarly. That's not going to work. I was asked similarly if this was going to be possible. Let's just, for the sake of argument here, come on. These are solid buildings. They're levees. These are unsolid buildings. This is why I'm doing this. Oh, come on. Just to see if this works. Wow. Okay. Now, is that just because the building on top is a solid building? Let's find out. Oh, boy. You know what this means. You know what this means. Now that we've made this discovery, man, we're making discoveries on discoveries on discoveries. I don't even have a channel. That means almost right here. But somewhere over here, it's going to be possible for us to have a tremendously large, beautiful, giant storage full of water in an area that's not going to be completely stupid for it. So, there's 23 metal fasteners in here. I have other storages. No, I don't. Okay, so that is, that's going to be a problem we're going to have to solve. This go away. I can, right here, put in a medium warehouse and make that storage for metal. They're not going to be able to finish this before we have a drought anyway, but now I have a mission. I have a mission. And I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm unreasonably excited for this, folks. This large warehouse is going to go away. This does not need to be for the metal fasteners. We're never going to, fill all that up. We need to find something that needs additional storage space. Honestly... Oh, people are really going to hate it if I say I want to put more rice balls in. But, let's see, what else? Tools, we're never going to need to have that many. I don't have any berries being produced, really. Green peas. Green peas. This is, not really a great place to stick them, but we have this here. We got rice balls. See, this probably should just be for, like, finished stuff. Do I want to be making a bunch of pollution resistance factor? Probably not. I'm going to go with green peas. That's what's going to go there. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, friends. I am so excited. I just cannot hide it. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. Is this objectively stupid? Yeah, it kind of is. But do you expect anything else from me? The answer should be no. We can have them start on this. This is incredibly dumb. What else do I have storage for over here? Probably not a bad idea to have more storage for logs. And then sawdust storage, probably not a bad idea. Or dirt. Let's make it dirt. So, once this is finished, I know scaffoldings, so on and so forth. That's going to help. The giant buried tank has two variants. Top entrance, bottom entrance. I'm going to build the bottom entrance in here just because it's going to be closer. Then I have to have something in the back. So this is going to get emptied right here. Boy, I hope you guys don't hate this episode. I'm having a lot of fun. Obviously, we need to have support in the back, and we can achieve that relatively easily. We just have to have good access to storage here. So we will eventually have other stuff in here. And remember, this underground ruins is going to have stuff attached to it, so we will use this storage for other stuff at some point in time. But now, giant buried tank. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Are you looking? Are you basking in the glory? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is truly, truly glorious. We have a bad tide coming. Okay. There's no chance this is going to be finished by then. We don't even have enough metal. But boy, am I just unbelievably excited that this works. Let's go into first single speed. There you go. We currently do not have any buildings producing metal fasteners. I removed the primitive ironworks from here because it was, in the way. Primitive ironworks requires to make those scrap metal and coal. We have scrap metal and coal storage right here. Pretty easily accessible. And the primitive ironworks, if we flip it, can go right here. This is not where it's going to go, but it does fit there. We have a staircase presently to the top of this. I'm going to, for the benefit of all of this, just put this right here, because the storage for everything is just right where it needs to go. And that's just going to be that. I'm also going to put a small warehouse right here just for these guys set to supply. That will help solve that problem. And this one building by itself also, of course, has the other recipes we have to tend to. Oh my god, I've been recording for an hour and a half. I should just build another primitive ironworks somewhere else. Where can I stick? Okay, well, first of all, what's this? Tool storage. Where's the rest of my tools? That is only one of 2 tool storages. Okay. I need to have another storage for that. I know this is, probably not the best possible place to put other stuff, but this is what exists. And that's just what we're going to do. I got ideas. I got ideas. Tool storage. We already said we have that. I don't need another one of those. So these don't need to be here. And this warehouse can be removed and exchanged for a pile that will then store crude saw blades. The idea being, of course, that I can then put another, what do you call it here? Primitive ironworks. And it still is in kind of the general area where it's going to be useful. Boy, we have done so much today. So much. Still working on that. These two, unfortunately, have to be built before this can be started. Wait, no. They're actually starting it. It just can't be finished until the support's there. Okay, metal blocks, like I said, going to be a problem. Bad water is going to keep giving us power, so that's okay. Water is an issue. I have 5,000. The maximum duration, I think, is 9 days. Let's call that good enough for 5,000 water. Of course, it's going to be consumed also. I really got to end this episode quick, though, so let's... Medium cauldrons, they haven't even started because I don't have scrap metal, and I don't have scrap metal because I don't have other stuff going. These are waiting on coal. Why are they waiting on coal? We have so much coal. We have 515 coal. This one's waiting on iron ore. Why is it waiting on iron ore? Because I'm not getting it out of the ground. Okay. I really need more than one of these, but we're getting there. Minor burns, 3. That's a big step. That's a big, 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 big step. Super helpful. I just wish this would be finished. Oh, boy. And I only have 3 dynamite. I regrettably cannot continue too much of this, but we're on our way. We're getting there. Just is going to take time. So, where does that leave us as we approach the end of this episode? Well, we have 6,000 liquids. Obviously, it would be great if we had more, but that is a number I think I am personally okay with. We can continue to expand. Once we have the large, giant, whatever buried tank, which isn't buried, it's just jacked up on top of some storage, that will increase our water storage capacity to... Well, technically, the storage capacity will only increase to 7,655. It's counting the other water we have in these buildings that are consuming it. But so it will more than double our actual water storage. That's good. Big steps. And baby steps that add up to big steps. But it all adds up. It all matters. Food-wise, I haven't been worried about food for quite some time, but I know there's still a lot we need to do to kind of fix that. I think I feel comfortable just going ahead and saying... that's going to be it for today. So I really appreciate you guys watching this series, bearing with the super long episodes. I know some of you don't like that, but I do think the hour-and-a-half time works pretty well for Waterbeavers. It seems like a natural stopping point at the very least, and it does allow us to start a bad tide at the beginning of the next episode that will be on Monday? Yes, Monday. Sometimes I forget. But it truly is not possible to do this stuff without the support of you guys watching the videos, and of course the Beard Boosters subsidizing everything, smoothing out the bumps of ad revenue and YouTube business, whatever, so we can just focus on having a good time playing the games, not chasing trends or whatever. Just, hey, we're playing this series, we're going to go all the way through, we're not going to quit early because the videos aren't performing as well as we want or whatever, we're just going to have a good time, and those folks make that possible, and really genuinely do help a tremendous amount. So, can't thank those folks enough. Like I said, you're important just the same, even if you're not on that list. But this is where we are going to end it, except for... I forgot that we were going to put this down here. So let's just do that really quick so I do not forget, because I will forget. This can go all the way in the corner. So that's where it will go. And this one I will set to... crude saw blades, because I know we are currently out of those. And as a result, we cannot make any planks, and if we can't make any planks, then we can't do anything. So please and thank you, finish that. And then we will just have to be eagle-eyed prepared for this floodgate dam to be shut. But in all honesty, at this point, we might as well just wait it out. So let's check and see. Because I know I'm going to forget if I wait till Monday. Okay. Yep, 140 planks here. We already knew that was going to be a thing. The metal blocks, of course, will take some time. But now that we have power through bad tides, and we have 2 of those gravity batteries, that's going to really help during our drought cycles. This is predictably waiting on planks. No surprise there. Everything's waiting on planks. This guy making the screw press axles is probably not something we should remove from screw press axle due to because we have none except the one. And this one over here is going to be super important for us to make sure that it actually works. Alright, that could be prioritized. That could be prioritized. Oh boy. Half a day. If I close this now, it is going to flood everything. But, well and truly, that's it for this one. Don't forget, we have the colony submissions that we're going through. I'm trying to do 2 a week, but if I run out, I run out, and then I'll have to do something else. So if you have an idea, or not an idea, if you have a colony that you're particularly proud of, you want to see maybe featured in a video, I can't promise I'm going to do every single one that gets put in. But please don't forget to submit those, and we will see what we put out next week for those. I'm going to go ahead and get these things swapped over. I know it's not like the smoothest, most pleasing ending to an episode ever, but if I don't do this, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be an absolute mistake. So, we might have a little tiny bit of flooding, but it's going to be better than having poison flood. That's it. Whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we will see you in the next episode of this series on Monday, Iron Teeth tomorrow, and Roller Coasters on Sunday. 7-day bad tide. We'll tackle it next time. Take care. Bye-bye.